Imagine the year is 1492. Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer, sets sail under the Spanish flag, venturing into the unknown. Across the globe, another explorer, Vasco da Gama of Portugal, prepares for his own journey into uncharted waters. The age of exploration, a thrilling era ignited by a thirst for knowledge, wealth, and power, was well underway. It was a time when the old world was ready to reach out, to stretch its boundaries, to unlock the mysteries of the unknown. A time when the maps ended at the horizon, and beyond that, who knew? Dragons, monsters, or maybe just the edge of the world. In the heart of this era, two men stood at the forefront of discovery: Christopher Columbus and Vasco da Gama. Columbus, an Italian by birth, had the audacity to suggest that the world was round, not flat, and that a new route to the east could be found by sailing west. On the other side of the continent, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese nobleman, was gearing up to navigate a route around Africa to reach India. Their ambitions were as vast as the oceans they were about to traverse, their motivations fueled by the promise of wealth, fame, and the glory of their respective nations. But these voyages weren't just about ambition and glory. They were made possible by the remarkable innovations of the time. The compass, a device that pointed to the magnetic north, was a game-changer. The astrolabe, used to measure the angle between a celestial body and the horizon, became an indispensable tool for navigation, and the caravel, a fast and maneuverable ship, became the vessel of choice for these daring journeys. These two men, sailing under different flags, with different ships and different tools, were about to embark on journeys that would not only challenge their courage and determination but would also test the limits of human knowledge and endurance. They were stepping into the unknown, charting courses that had never been sailed, risking everything in the pursuit of discovery. These two men, sailing under different flags, were about to change the course of history. Columbus, guided by the stars, sailed west, while da Gama, following the African coast, charted a course to the east. Let's dive into the heart of their journeys. Columbus, a man with a vision, embarked on a daring voyage across the Atlantic in 1492. Backed by the Spanish monarchs, he captained the Santa Maria, flanked by the Pinta and the Nina. His goal? A western sea route to Asia. But fate had a different plan. After months at sea, land was sighted. Not the silken shores of Asia, but the lush, untamed beauty of what we now know as the Americas. A new world, previously unknown to Europeans, was unveiled. Meanwhile, da Gama, a seasoned Portuguese navigator, was tasked with a mission of equal gravity. In 1497 he sailed south, hugging the African coastline. His destination was the spice-rich lands of India, a tantalizing prize for the Portuguese crown. The Cape of Good Hope, a treacherous stretch of water, lay in his path. With courage and determination, da Gama navigated these perilous waters, successfully rounding the Cape. Onward he sailed across the Indian Ocean, until the exotic lands of India greeted him. These were no pleasure cruises. Hunger, disease, and the constant threat of mutiny were daily realities. Uncharted waters and unpredictable weather patterns added to the challenges. Yet, Columbus and da Gama, driven by ambition and a thirst for discovery, persevered. Columbus, in his quest for Asia, had stumbled upon a new world, changing the course of history. Da Gama, on the other hand, had successfully established a sea route to India, breaking the Venetian monopoly on the spice trade and heralding a new era of Portuguese dominance. Both men, having faced countless challenges, had accomplished what they set out to do. But what were the consequences? The curtain had been lifted on a new act of the human drama, and the world would never be the same. As we'll see in the next scene, the impacts of these discoveries were far-reaching and profound, altering the course of history forever. As we dive deeper into the world of history and legend, I invite you to become a part of our community. If you're enjoying this content and want to stay connected with us, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to Chronomancer AI. We've got more fascinating historical journeys waiting for you. Columbus's voyage opened the door for Europe to colonize the Americas, while da Gama's route provided a direct sea link between Europe and Asia. This sentence alone is enough to demonstrate the monumental impact of these voyages. But let's delve a bit deeper, shall we? The immediate impacts of Columbus's journey were profound. The discovery of the New World led to a rush of European powers eager to stake their claim. This land grab, if you will, resulted in the colonization of the Americas. Columbus's voyages led to the exchange of goods and ideas between the Old and New Worlds in what's often referred to as the Columbian Exchange. This included not only commodities like gold, silver, and crops, but also less savory exchanges such as disease and conflict. On the other side of the world, da Gama's voyage was a game-changer for Europe-Asia relations. The establishment of a direct sea route to India allowed for the bypassing of the traditional land routes controlled by the Ottomans and Arabs. This not only broke their monopoly on the spice trade, but also led to increased European influence in Asia. Long-term, these voyages reshaped the world. The colonization following Columbus's discovery of the Americas had lasting cultural impacts. It led to the spread of European languages, religions and customs, but also the tragic loss of indigenous cultures and populations. Economically, it shifted the balance of power towards Europe, setting the stage for the rise of Western dominance. Da Gama's voyage, meanwhile, marked the beginning of the age of globalization. The direct sea route to Asia allowed for an explosion of trade and cultural exchange. Europe's appetite for Asian spices, silks, and precious stones was now easier to satisfy. This increased interaction also led to a greater understanding and appreciation of different cultures. In the grand scheme of things, these voyages were more than just daring adventures. They were catalysts for change, bringing about a new era of exploration, trade, and cultural exchange. These voyages didn't just change maps, they changed the world. Yet these voyages were not without controversy. Both Columbus and da Gama have been criticized for their treatment of indigenous peoples. As these explorers traversed unknown territories, they encountered civilizations whose existence was previously unbeknownst to the Western world. However, the interaction between these explorers and the indigenous people was far from harmonious. Columbus, in his quest for wealth and glory, is known to have enslaved many of the indigenous people he encountered. His expeditions led to the spread of diseases like smallpox and measles, to which the indigenous populations had no immunity. This resulted in widespread death and suffering. In fact, some reports suggest that the indigenous population of the Americas decreased by 90% in the first century after Columbus's arrival. Da Gama, on the other hand, is often criticized for his brutal treatment of the natives in the Indian Ocean region. His violent methods to establish control over trade routes are well documented. There are accounts of da Gama ordering the mutilation of sailors from competing vessels and coercing local leaders into submission. The native populations were forced into a trade system that heavily favored the Europeans, leading to economic exploitation. Furthermore, these voyages brought about a wave of colonization that forever altered the course of history. Indigenous cultures were systematically erased, their lands seized, and their people enslaved. The age of exploration, while leading to unprecedented global connections, also opened the floodgates to centuries of oppression and exploitation. It's important to note, however, that these controversial aspects do not diminish the navigational achievements of these explorers. Instead, they add a layer of complexity to their legacies, reminding us of the human cost of these historic voyages. As we delve into the intricacies of the age of exploration, we must grapple with these uncomfortable truths. We must acknowledge the suffering and injustices that unfolded alongside the marvels of discovery. The age of exploration was a time of great discovery, but it was also a time of great destruction. Columbus and da Gama, two men from different corners of Europe, set sail into the unknown and changed the world forever. These two explorers embarked on daring voyages that reshaped the course of history. Columbus, a Genoese sailor, dreamt of finding a westward route to Asia to tap into the thriving trade routes. However, his voyage led him to the Americas, a new world unknown to his European counterparts. Da Gama, on the other hand, a noble from Portugal, navigated around the Cape of Good Hope and made it to India, successfully charting a sea route to the east. Their paths may have never crossed, but their indomitable spirit and boundless curiosity engraved their names in the annals of history. They were catalysts for trailblazing exploration, trade, and cultural dissemination, but their voyages also set the stage for colonial rule and exploitation. Columbus's discovery resulted in the large-scale devastation of indigenous populations in the Americas, while da Gama's expedition paved the way for protracted European colonial rule in Asia. Their legacies hence are mired in controversy. They were propelled by the same spirit of discovery, but the aftermath of their voyages were distinct. Columbus's unintended discovery led to the colonization of the Americas by Europeans, while da Gama's successful expedition set up a direct sea link between Europe and Asia, revolutionizing global trade patterns. The voyages of Columbus and da Gama remind us that history is a complex tapestry, woven with threads of discovery, ambition, and controversy. Their stories embody the paradox of the age of exploration, a time of incredible discovery that also set the stage for centuries of conflict and change. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of history and legend. If you enjoyed this, please give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. For more engaging content like this, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right here on Chronomancer AI.